Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and it is a luxury. I'll hopefully be able to brighten things up a little bit in here and wake everyone up. And it is a luxury to be the last speaker, now that I have my full 10 minutes, on this vitally important topic. In fact, there's probably none more important, apart from regional health, in the state at the moment, submitted by the member for Caulfield. And it is a luxury having to listen to every other member in this place. There's been some colourful language used. There's been some interesting points raised. One was raised by the member for Caulfield, and it's one that I can concur with. The Victorian Police Chief Commissioner has been backed, cracked and sacked all in a week. First of all, he was backed by the Premier and the Minister. He was backed. We'll have you back. We'll give you another contract, and then they put a knife in it. Then the people of Werribee cracked it, it appeared, with that huge swing away from the government because they know that community safety is a huge concern. Then obviously the Premier panicked. She cracked it. The Minister cracked it and went to his bottom drawer, allegedly, where there were some solutions that hadn't already been presented. And then the Police Association obviously cracked it as well. So cracked. Then they sacked him. All within a week, and they've used the former Chief Commissioner as a scapegoat. It is appalling behaviour for someone that has served 47 years on the force. That's longer than... In 1978, I wasn't even thought of yet. 47 years on the job, and to be treated like that is absolutely appalling. And let's just say that the Chief Commissioner was not the problem here. The government's inability to take his advice is the problem here. And why? Why did it all occur? Because perhaps he pointed out that Victoria is the only state in Australia doesn't have a tobacco licensing scheme, which could solve fire bombings and could solve the tobacco wars overnight. And yet, if they had listened to the former Chief Commissioner, was that the reason? Or was it because he'd requested money and funding to upgrade the IT system within Victoria Police so they didn't have to go about using fax machines or triplicate notepads? I thought the only people that still used a fax machine were doctors and pharmacies. You could step the police force into the 21st century by taking that advice. That alone would also help lift morale within the force and cut down on some of their overtime, which I'm told over and over again is a huge sticking point for our VicPol members. Or was it because he called for stronger laws for protesters, more trainers at the academy, on-the-spot family violence orders to be issued by police? Or was it just because this government's in a death spiral, panicked and would make it look like they are actually trying to do something? Now, I did note the Minister said earlier that the Allan Labor government is tough on crime, and that is preposterous. I couldn't think of the correct adjective to use. I still don't think preposterous is the right one, but it is the strongest word I could find that is parliamentary. Criminal incidents in Victoria are the highest they have ever been. Ever. Teenagers are breaking into homes 3 times a week. I have people coming into my office looking for support because they feel failed by the justice system. Police are dealing with repeat offenders daily. They call it wash and repeat because they bring them in, they do an amazing job, they go into the justice system and they are arresting them the very next day. And they're right. Despite the clear and urgent requests from the former Police Chief Commissioner, the Allan Labor government has again failed to listen. And I am befuddled, bemused, I am perplexed at how members on the other side can actually say, no, we are doing all this and Victorians are good and they feel safe. We can't even, and women everywhere will know what I mean when I say we can't even go for a run anymore in this state, in this city, anywhere. We can't even go for a run. Now, I am not an easy target. and I would normally feel safe, but for the first time in my life, and I have lived in some of the biggest cities in the world, all around the world, for the first time in my life, I am carrying a personal alarm, and I'm carrying keys on me when I go for a run in the dark, early hours of the morning in Melbourne. Someone like me, I am 6 foot tall and I do not look easy to take down, but even I don't feel safe. So to say that we are creating a fear campaign is absolutely, again, preposterous. Correct. And it's offensive. Tell that to the women that have been killed on the street, that it's us creating a fear campaign. How offensive. It is absolutely shameful. And we have continued on this side to point out and offer solutions. The Leader of the Opposition has twice presented private members' bills to strengthen bail laws because the experts, not the self-proclaimed experts, the ones with 47 years' experience, for example, say that this would be a step in the right direction. Twice he has presented that. And twice the Allan Labor government have voted it down so it couldn't even be debated. We've offered a solution. Yes, we point out the problem. Time after time after time, we've presented a solution and it has been ignored. So now we can understand a bit more about how victims of crime in this state feel, because they too feel like they're being ignored. Like I said earlier, I have people coming into my office, families coming into my office, like Damien, whose house was broken into while he was over in Perth. His teenage daughters were at home. The house was broken into. They had weapons. How do you think a father feels being so far away in a town like Mildura, for heaven's sake? It's absolutely mind-boggling that members on the other side can sit there and say it's us creating a fear campaign. That is absolutely shameful and ridiculous. Every member of the community in Victoria, every victim of crime who feels hard done by the justice system, every Victorian who doesn't feel safe in their own home or walking at home at night feels like they are being ignored, and we continue to. Now, I heard the Minister say during question time yesterday too that every Victorian had access to 24-hour police response. Well, not if you live in the Mallee. Again, that is a preposterous thing to say. Not if you live in Gippsland. If you live in places like Speed, Hopeton, Sea Lake, and that town has been, oh my goodness, has really had it tough the last few years. They lost their police officer there, their long-term police officer, in a cycling accident several years ago. And the one thing, I did a mobile office at the Royal Hotel last week, and you know what the one message was? When are we going to have our policemen replaced? When are we going to have a copper in our town again? There is one out there. She's currently on leave. No surprises there. Because the morale is so low in Victoria Police at the moment. And we can talk about investment, and we can talk about how many people we're recruiting. You know what you can't recruit, Deputy Speaker? You can't recruit experience. You cannot recruit supervising officers and those with 47 years experience, even 10 years experience. What on earth are we going to do? And are we going to send a brand new constable out to somewhere like Hopeton or Speed with no support? No, you cannot. You cannot recruit experience. One of the fundamental jobs of this government is community safety. The member for Mordialloc said what we need is nuance, intelligence and respect. Victorian Police and the Victorian people are getting none of that from this government. Absolutely none of that. What they are getting, reduced safety, higher crime rates, and a government who has lost control. It is very clear that this government cannot manage Victoria Police, they cannot manage their budget, they cannot manage crime and community safety. What on earth can they manage? That is their fundamental job. So at this point, honestly, all we are asking for at this point is for this Allan Labor government to just do your job. It is as simple as that. Do your job.